So I'm doing two things. We have the one that just came in, so I'm seeing if it's valid, so I can talk about it. And then my son just got out of school, and he's saying, "How was signing day?" So every phone call last night, he was like, "What is that good? Is that one good or bad?" So all right, so I'll wait and see. So, well, first of all, thank you very much for coming, and on a good day for the program, and just appreciate you guys covering us as we talk about these wonderful young men that have made the decision to come to Baylor University. There'll always be a special class to us in that so many of them committed before the season, and to go through the year to not have any of them decommit, to have them stay with us is truly something special. And so we're excited about them. We're excited about the versatility that they bring. A lot of players on offense, especially on the offensive line, to allow us to have, really to sort of replenish that offensive line group that was decimated upon our arrival, and to have the guys that were here last year's class and this class, I think is really, really, really important to get some safety help, especially at the mid-year. 6 of these young men will be here January 7th to start school, 2 of whom, J.T. Woods and Christian Morgan, projected safety. And so hopefully that'll answer some needs. And to go out there and get a couple of receivers, not just receivers, but guys who will play football and run track, really excited. And to have a quarterback in Gary Bohannon, a young man who we think is special, get that commitment yesterday was really something that we were excited about. So I'll be happy to talk about any of the players. They all are special young men, and as I said, and I think they came here for the right reasons, and really excited about them. We expect to have another commitment, another signing tomorrow, and then that'll carry us into January with the last 3 or 4 spots to go recruit. So with that, I'll see what questions you have.
Getting Bohannon yesterday, I mean, how big was that for this class?
Well, I think it was really, really important, and I think I think Gary, along with many of the young people, but I think he was sort of a unifying force, as it came down the stretch. Guys like really talented offensive skill players like Josh Fleeks, like Tyquan Thornton, Jackson Gleason, the tight ends Chris Henley, Christoph Henley, Ben Sims, Braylon Taylor. A lot of other schools with this new early signing period. It's the first time we've really dealt with the new early signing period. So it wasn't just, hey, come to our school. It was, hey, don't sign early. Just wait till January. And so I think what Gary was able to do is, was tell them, hey, keep everyone sort of, hey, you guys all signing on Wednesday. And then in the end, when he signed, I think it just sort of solidified the class, And so I think we had a lot of good players. A lot of other people wanted the kids to, young men not to sign, to wait, or to come to their school. And I think he was just, really sort of a final force. And I think it's just kind of who Gary is. It's his personality. When you go to Rhule, Arkansas, when you walk through the school, you can tell that he's a person that lives his life trying to be there for other people. And so the whole community's behind him. And so I think he'll have that same effect on this recruiting class and hopefully on this team.
Given how important this class was for you guys, was it almost better that you weren't having to prepare for a bowl game and you're really able to hit the road and get some of these guys locked up?
I'd always prefer to be in a bowl game, but I think we were able to really kind of what the right word is, focus our resources on this, and it was just really time. There was. Our whole staff I thought was amazing. There was guys like Francis Brown. What he did over the last 3 weeks in terms of just, he literally getting to a hotel at 1 and he's up at 3 to get on a plane to fly somewhere else, and so it just took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and we had a lot of relationships with the players already built and with their families already built. But in this kind of mad dash where new staffs come in and there's some staff changes and the new coach comes in. To be able to get out on the road, and I've never gone this hard for 2 weeks straight. Usually it's been over 6 weeks. So I think it's a credit to our guys, but so maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Hopefully we will never have to deal with it again.
How many visits did you take over 2 weeks?
It was over 3 weeks. We had 3 weeks of recruiting, but the first week I meet with every player on the team. So I think that week I was out probably 4 days, and then I was. I don't know what the total number would be. I'm sorry, because there's a couple kids, but probably in 25 people's homes in high schools. So
And you said there was, say this month?
Yeah, this was over the last 2 weeks. The first week I think I went to like 3 or 4 people. So maybe over you go Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday we're here for the official visit. So, you know, I racked up my frequent flyer miles. So, and we you know if you know most of the kids are from Texas, obviously, but to recruit a kid from Florida and a kid from Arkansas and a kid from Colorado, it takes, and a kid from Baton Rouge takes that takes a little bit of time as well.
What's the Austrian kid's story, backstory?
So Christoph played football in Austria and was one of the better players at his team there, and so somehow they arranged for him to go to the Oak Ridge school, and had a host family, and I went to school there, and so he was a kid that we were being recruited, came to our camp, had gained some offers, and so he's played on the Austrian national team. He's played here in high school, and he's a mid-year. I actually set my alarm this morning for like 4:00 a.m. because he had flown back, and when the flight landed, he was going to send his paper here because it would be 7 a.m. their time. Yeah. So, but so he's like I said, he's a really good student. He's already been out on his own. He'll be here mid-year, so we're excited about that.
Who are the kids who are coming in mid-year?
Coming in mid-year would be Gary Bohannon, Christoph Henley, Christian Morgan, Casey Phillips, Tyquan Thornton, and JT Woods.
Matt, was the speed element in this class, was that intentional or did that just happen?
No, that's intentional. I mean, we've kind of it's always sort of been our philosophy, big and fast. And I think when you find guys who are elite speed-wise, you hope they can play receiver. And if they can't, if they don't have the body control or they don't have the hands or they don't have whatever, then they usually turn themselves into NFL defensive backs. And so, we just want to have as fast a team as possible. And these guys are all really fast. And I think the allure of the fact that Baylor has a history of letting guys play football and run track. The fact that we did that with Chris Platt last year. If you're one of these young men who wants to run track at the next level, knowing that we have OBIM over there playing basketball right now. We have guys on the track team. Knowing that you can actually freely do that here, I think that was a tremendous draw to them. So, we're hopeful that we'll sign another couple really fast people over the next day, and you can kind of have the best of both worlds. You can run track with an elite program with Coach Ford, Coach Harbour, Coach Hart's program, and then you can also come over here and play football.
You said when you walked in here that you were dealing with a recruiter or another letter of intent. Are you done at 19 today, or is there something later on this afternoon?
There might be. I'm hoping I can say that there's 20 right now, and then excuse me, and then there'll be 21 tomorrow.
Tyquan Thornton, that was a pretty amazing recruiting job for him to be relatively unknown, and you guys jumped on him right away. And then all of a sudden, everybody across the country comes calling, including his in-state schools when he commits to Florida. To flip him this late, can you just go into the process of that and just sticking with him despite him decommitting earlier?
Yeah, well, I'd say the first thing I'd say is you really kind of find out what a coaching staff is like, what a coach is like when you decommit from the school and how they handle you. And I think, I hope one thing you hear a lot of our players say is, in the recruiting process, we talk a lot about who you are and having a relationship, about being a family, about caring who you are beyond just football. So, when Tyquan decommitted from us, I still talk to him about life. I still talk to him about things that mattered. I still talk to him about his family, just not with that same frequency. And so, I think Francis Brown just did an amazing job there. I think Evan Cooper just did a tremendous job there, and they just kept that connection going. And as situations shook up at other schools, we were sort of already there and already had a relationship. And we believed that Baylor would be a great fit for him, chance for him to come here, play football and run track. While it is far away from home, it's a chance for him to experience something different. And I just think the consistency of the relationship between Francis and Tyquan, between Evan and Tyquan, eventually led to him, taking a visit and his family saying, hey, you know what, this is a great place, and, we could see Tyquan having a lot of success here.
With those remaining spots, is there an area you want to focus on over the next couple of weeks as you get into February?
We'd probably like to just find a couple difference makers. I always, probably the best available as we look out there. There's some real difference makers in the state, and we'll probably hope to just sign the best players available, because we're probably whole at a lot of positions. Maybe not exactly where we'd like to be, but you start just going for need, you end up with a lot. You don't always end up with the best players. So we'll try to find the best available, best fits for us, and then sort of see.
So when you say that you have 3 or 4 spots left, is that 3 or 4 players who are not committed, or including the kids who are committed who didn't sign today?
That would just be in general, so I'd say, so there's always different stories with each person, right? So there's, it could be an academic situation, so I don't want to get into, obviously I'm not allowed to, but to me, the guys who signed today are with us, and the guys, if there's anybody who didn't, it's either for a reason or they're still looking, and, we're still recruiting probably 8 people, 9 people for those last couple spots. And then I think what's going to happen just in college football in general is everyone's going to kind of sit back now and say, okay, who's still out there? And, there'll be some guys that all of a sudden you say, wow, that's my kind of guy. And so I'm always looking for the next, Ashton Logan, who we signed last year, who's, I think is going to be a great, great player here. I'm looking for a guy like that, so we'll evaluate. Like, we haven't taken this week off. Like, we're in the office right now working, still recruiting. We're going to work tomorrow. And so we'll kind of have to see.
Those players that are coming in the spring, how important is that for them to kind of get a jump start on everybody, get to participate in spring ball and then get ready for practice in the summer?
Yeah, I think the early enrollees, it's a tremendous help for them. It can be hard, but they have a chance to come in, and learn the system and learn the football when it's not quite as fast. They have a chance to come here and get acclimated to college, earn 15 credits and then hopefully 6 or 9 in the summer, and kind of go into your freshman year with 24 credits, already in your pocket. And it's just a chance to get bigger, faster, stronger, work in the program, be around the guys. And, so that way when the freshmen show up in June, you're sort of the elder statesman of the freshmen. And so I think at positions like safety, that's vital to us. I think for Gary as a quarterback, for Taekwon as a receiver, to come in and learn, what we're doing, I think that's really important. For Christoph, we graduated both of our tight ends. Tyler Henderson's got a really, really good prospect who, played for us redshirted for us last season. But at the tight end position, we have, really just Tyler and then anybody that we're going to move there. So to have Christoph be able to emerge as a tight end as well, I think that so they're all kind of positions of need, and I think it'll really help them to have that extra time.
2-part question on your quarterbacks. We interviewed Gary earlier today, and we've obviously heard from Charlie before. How excited are you about how those two could really push each other and have that spread over the team? And then also with Zach moving on, you have 2 scholarship guys now that'll be here for the spring. How do you plan to address, or if at all address, the quarterback position past what you've already done?
I probably don't have the greatest of plans in terms of moving forward yet because it's kind of all, we'll see what happens, to be quite honest. But I love the fact that when Gary came on his visit, Charlie was, there to help, in any way that he could. And when Gary, Gary knows that, hey, Charlie played last year. Because what I want unbelievably competitive quarterbacks. I was going to be on ESPNU, so I was listening to another coach on there, how they started a freshman and they signed like the #1 quarterback in the country. And he was saying, hey, he wants to play around other good players and he wants to be pushed. And so that's a little joke because I was supposed to be on ESPN. He told me I was going to be on ESPNU, and I wasn't. So that's why I'm trying not to laugh. Friday. Probably on Friday. I misunderstood what he said. So I'm sitting there waiting to be on ESPNU watching the show, and he's like, you're on Friday. So I think just wanting to be around, just wanting to be pushed, because at the end of the day, it's not about, hey, how easy is it for me to get on the field? It's about, how good of a player do I become? And you don't become a great player unless you have competition. You don't become a great player unless you're pushed you have to beat your best every single day. And you don't become a great player unless you're around other good players. And so to come if you're a quarterback, to be around these elite wideouts that are already here, that are all going to get healthy, and, Jalen, who's sat out a year, and we're going to be pretty strong. And then to have this influx of talent in Taekwon, in Jackson, and in Joshua Fleeks, that to me is, you want to be around great players, but also, you want to compete. So the fact that they both know each other's there, and they're looking at it as an opportunity to become the best that they can be, I think that's exciting for me.
Would you like to have a third quarterback, scholarship quarterback coming in?
I'd like to have 5 scholarship quarterbacks. That's what your program should be at. But I think when I took the job, I said this roster situation that we walked into here is unique. And so I think I was telling somebody today to take like 6 offensive linemen last year and 6 offensive linemen this year. That's not really conducive to getting all the other positions you need. But it's what we have to do right now. And so, we thought maybe we can get away with 3. We're at 2 right now. And, if something happens, great. If not, I have a lot of confidence in Preston Hurd, and, we are where we are. So, but at the end of the day, I know we have two really good quarterbacks. You know, we have Charlie, who proved what he can do, and Gary, who I have all the faith in the world in. And so I'm just going to look at the positive part of it and, you know, just continue to move forward.
Well, with Arkansas, with him, did he fall, or let me phrase this properly. Did him coming this way have to do with Arkansas getting rid of Bielema and then switching to Chad Morris?
I don't know. I wouldn't speculate, me personally, on that. I just feel like since Gary came here this summer, I always felt like he was going to be our quarterback. So, you know, he just connected with us. I think he looked at the opportunity to play for, you know, Coach Thomas. Like, not very often in college football do you have a chance to play for a guy who coached in the NFL at the quarterback position for 6 years, and who coached Matt Ryan, who coached, you know, who coached in a Pro Bowl. We're sitting there and he's talking stories about coaching Mike Vick in the Pro Bowl, and so I think he looked at it like, hey, this is a university that matches what I'm looking to do, and I have the right coach. So I've always felt like he was going to be our quarterback. So to me, it was never about, hey, is he not going to go there? It was always, is Gary going to come here? But he wanted to do it at his own time. He wanted to take visits. He wanted to look around, and we respected that, and we respected his mother, who's a wonderful woman, and she's an educator and she's a principal, and so he was going to do his due diligence, and his father, who's said he's going to do his due diligence. But from the time he set foot on campus, I just kind of always felt like, hey, that guy's going to be our guy.
Byron Hansberg Jr., I remember his dad. I feel old. But Texas Tech, he's going to be a cornerback here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then did you all have to fend off Texas Tech for the child of one of their best ever players?
Yeah, so BJ was committed to another school for a long, long time, and you know, I sort of, that coaching change happened, and that opened up, and you know, BJ's, you know, father's a minister, his grandfather's a minister, you know, so this is a school certainly whose, you know, Christian mission is certainly in line with what BJ stands for, and you know, he has Xavier Newman here, a teammate playing, and so he had a relationship with Gary from kind of being different places, and that was one, you know, that kind of had committed before we really got to know him. And as I had a chance to sit down with BJ and with his father and with his mother and with his two brothers, what a special, mature young man. And so it became, you know, pretty clear pretty quickly that he was a tremendous fit for what we're doing. And you know, I think one of the things about coaching those defense is you have to really be intelligent, and you have to really be mature, and you have to really love football and want to study football. And that was clear that's what BJ is, and that's who he is. And so, you know, it just seemed like a great fit. But, you know, so I actually played against his father in college. Now, when I say play, I think I was on the sidelines watching more than actually playing. So, but when I was a young player. But, you know, I think one of the great things about his father is he never talks about his own career. Everything's about his son and his son's path. And I think his son felt like, you know, BJ felt like, hey, this is the right place for me.
He's listed as an athlete, though, right? Is he going to be?
Corner. Yeah, he's a corner. Yeah. Yep.
How much did you hear about BJ's apparently legendary locker room speeches? So, you know,
I saw that afterwards, you know, kind of after we got to know him. So, like I said, usually a lot of these guys, like, we had a relationship with them for a long time. BJ's was, hey, he's opening his recruitment. You know, I watched him. I said, yeah, I like him. You know, Joey went in and saw him, came on the visit. And when he walked into the visit, we're usually downstairs in this building when they first kind of get here. And I know everybody. I'm hugging everybody. And I kind of said to myself, like, is that a junior college kid or a transfer, or is that someone's, you know, older brother? Because he's just such a mature looking young man. He's such a mature acting young man. He really is his special. And so to hear him talk and to have, you know, just have conversations with him, and just, you know, he's so thoughtful. I can see why he'd be such a great orator before the games, you know. So, but I had a chance to see that. One of you guys might have posted it for all I know, but it was pretty cool.
So, you know, obviously, most of these guys were committed coming into the season. You go 0-11, 1-11.
So give us our one, bro.
1-11. You know, you go 1-11. None of these kids decommit. I mean, what do you think that says? You know, do you think that shows commitment? Do you think that shows that they believe in you? What exactly do you think it shows?
Well, I think it shows a lot of things. I think it shows, number one, that Baylor means something to them. You know, I'm not coming to Baylor just because they have a good football program. I'm coming here because this is a life-changing opportunity to get an education, to go to school at a wonderful place whose mission fits what they're looking for. So I think that in and of itself, I think it speaks to Baylor. I think it speaks to the players on our team, that, you know, they developed relationships with some of them. They knew some of them when they came on their visits. I think the guys were really real with them. Like, hey, this is what Coach Rhule's going to be like. This is what Coach Snow's going to be like. This is what Coach Fran's going to be like. But at the end of the day, all these players, they saw us, you know, at our lowest, right? And so I think that's the one thing, as we talk about the relationships we have with the guys on the team, with these recruits. You know, if you were there with us after we lost that Liberty game, you walked off the field, that was the lowest of the low for us. And yet, we didn't change. We were who we were. We just kept continuing to just kind of do what we do. And I think young people are always looking for consistency. And so hopefully these recruits saw consistency in our approach and saw consistency in the approach of the players. I think they saw improvement. They saw hope. They saw us get better. I think many of them were sort of touched by our fans. To be at those games where the fans, even though we weren't victorious, you know, they stood and cheered. And I think it said to our players, hey, this really is a special place. And then I think it just probably speaks to relationships. You know, our relationships with our players aren't built on how well you play or how well you win. It's based upon who you are and what you do. And a lot of these guys, where other people might see adversity, they see opportunity. And to be quite honest with you, I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. I'm excited that we did go have the record we had and had no one decommit from us. That, you know, they stood firm, and that's not without people battering, you know, against them, saying, hey, come here, come there. But in the end, you know, these guys are going to do something special. They're going to be part of this remarkable turnaround, just like all the other guys on our team. And, you know, I think they wanted to do something special, and so that's what they'll do.
Matt, because of the numbers in the offensive line, do you hope, you expect a couple of these guys to come in and play?
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope that a couple of them can help us play. I mean, we're a little bit more whole this year now, you know, with Rhule Morgan, you know, kind of undergoing a year. So he has 2 years left. You know, we have Blackmar and Pat Lawrence and Tech back, Xavier Newman back who played, Ryan Miller back who played. Now you add in Josh Malin, who really developed into a pretty good offensive lineman. He just needs a great offseason. Then all those other guys who didn't play, you know, who redshirted, whether it was Eliezer or Kling or, you know, all the other guys. Khalil Keith, who, you know, underwent kind of a semester off to focus on his academics. He'll be with us in the spring. And now you add in these guys. And so like I was at the Katy game on Saturday watching Connor Galvin play. I mean, he's just big and athletic, and he's texting me this morning asking me about the plays. I mean, he's a football guy, and so I think this will really kind of just infuse some size and some talent. And the ones who are ready to play, they'll play, and the ones who aren't, you know, they'll have a chance to redshirt and get bigger, faster, stronger. And I think we'll look up in a couple of years, and we'll just have a lot of really, really good offensive linemen.
Where does Princeton Pines project? Where do you see him?
You know, I try every offensive lineman out at tackle first, you know, because they're so hard to find. He does have the length to do it, but he's got the size, power, girth of a guard. He's a guy that came to our camp. And, you know, if you can impress Coach DeLeon, you can, you know, let me know. It's hard to do. I mean, he's Coach Joe Thomas. So, to impress him. But he walked away that day saying he's a scholarship offensive lineman. I've heard him say that about 3 or 4 kids at camp in the last however many years, you know. So, you know, Princeton he's big, he's powerful, he's explosive. He's extremely intelligent, great student. It comes from a great family. And so, you know, very quiet kid. You know, I maybe talked to him like 3 or 4 times the whole season. And it was, hey, Coach, I'd like to take a visit. And we brought him in, and it was the right fit for him. And so we're excited about him. And, you know, can he play tackle? If he can, great. If not, I mean, we really are welcoming that power. I mean, I think on the visit he was about 340. So if we can keep him in that 325, 330 range, you know, he's really athletic to go with that.
I was looking, you didn't sign any junior college players. Why, tell me, I know what you're probably going to say, but you would think a team that was 1-11 that had why didn't you go the JUCO route, given the holes that have been in some of the previous classes?
Yeah, that's just I've recruited junior college players, and I've had success with junior college players, and I have nothing against junior college players. And, you know, we'll probably maybe visit a junior college player. We had a couple that were going to visit, and they might come in January. But in terms of like wholesale, I just enjoy the process of I like taking a young person at 17, 18, and then watching them develop at 22. You know, so that process that we believe in, the way we practice, the way we lift, the way we eat, the way everything's important to us, over time, we think that process is infallible. You know, depending whatever your ceiling is, you're eventually going to get close to your ceiling. And so when you take a junior college player and you only have 2 years with them, it's harder. So, you know, over my career, I've taken a couple transfers and a couple junior college players, but you know, my goal here was to just go get as many young high school players as possible, put them in the program, let them develop, and you know, see what we have.
KJ Smith, has his medical red shirt paperwork been filed?
I believe it has been filed, and it's in the hands of, you know, the authorities.
Matt, Drew Galitz, how's he coming along, and will Isaac challenge him there?
I don't know that it would be a thing of challenging him. I think it's just more, you know, having someone kind of waiting in the wings. for afterwards. And then I think Drew's coming along fine. So, he did both. He did both for us last year. He kicked off and punted until Connor had to take over all three. But I think it was just more of a point of, hey, even if Drew's, what if Drew takes 3 or 4 games? If he's back ready, great. But really more long term after Drew's done. Having someone there kind of waiting in the wings. I've always liked having that next guy there. I've hated having to play freshmen at the specialist position. So, but I think Drew had successful surgery. Rehab has gone well to this point. He's been in good spirits, and so just knowing who he is, I'm sure Drew will come back, not just be the same. I'm sure he'll be better than ever.
You signed one defensive tackle in Joshua Landry, but he's a good one. How excited are you guys about what he brings?
Well, I think Landry's Josh is a guy that we really liked off the tape, and we really liked watching him. And then we had him come to camp, and not many guys anymore get an offer and still come to your camp. But I think he wanted to come, and he's confident, and he wanted to work with Coach Robinson, and got here and ran really well. So he's a guy that kind of like what we did this year with James Lynch. We think could be a defensive end, could be a defensive tackle, can bring versatility, but hopefully will bring some speed off the edge. And so I like his motor. He obviously comes from a great program at Lamar with Coach Nolan, and I think he's really while he's highly rated, I think he's underrated. He's one of the guys that we said early on, we have got, this is our kind of guy. We've got to get him in the program. And with that, I'd say Marjay Smith. We had a chance to go out to satellite camp at Stephen F. Austin, and he was out there. He was playing receiver. Kind of brought him over and, tested really well, and in the camp worked with him a little bit at defensive end, and I think he's going to be really one of those guys who in a couple years, 240 pounds, running 4.5, can run, can jump, great person, great kid, and played for Claude Mathis, who I competed against when I was at Temple and he was at SMU, and I trust him, and he had nothing but great things to say about Marjay. So I think he's, it might take him a year or two to get to the size that we want, but I think he's going to be a special guy, because I saw it with my own eyes at that satellite camp coming off the edge.
How hard is it to balance guys who you believe can be instant impact guys with guys like maybe Marjay, who, not right now, but 2-3 years down the road, he's going to be really good?
Yeah, I think it's hard, but I think you have to take a long-term view of everything if you really want to build a program, not just try to build a team. And so really, we try to have this standard in our brain of when we recruit somebody saying, hey, we think he has a chance to be a pro. And so sometimes there might be a guy that, hey, he's too short to maybe be a pro, but he's just such a great football player, we're going to take a shot on him. But as a base rule, we try to, when you have a bunch of guys on your team leaving and going to the NFL, when you have 5 guys going to the combine, you probably had a pretty good team. And so, along with school, along with their character, when we look at them from a football standpoint, we're saying, hey, in 4 or 5 years, can this guy, will he go be a pro? Will he have the size, weight, speed, tenacity, love of football, all those things to be an NFL player? And so, if you take a guy like Marjay, if he's 6'6", 210, well, we trust between the resources we have, between the food, nutrition, all the amazing things that are here, he's going to be 6'6", 250. And, hey, hopefully if we do our job, he'll have a chance to go be a pro. And so I try to always think more long-term because young people will surprise you. They'll come in, and a guy like James Lynch, all of a sudden he'll be a freshman All-American, and he'll be out. I thought we were going to redshirt him. He'll be out there making plays. And so, you try to do it that way. And I think I spoke a lot at the end of the year. I really like where our older players in the program were at the end of the season. I thought Ira Lewis was becoming an all Big 12 caliber player, and I thought Bravion and Tyrone Hunt and Greg Roberts, all those guys up front on the D-line were developing into really, really good players, and they were kind of hitting their stride, and the linebacking core, with Clay coming back. So I was kind of pleased with where guys were coming. And the back end, Graylin, Harrison, so it was more sort of, hey, we can take a bunch of really, really good players, let them come in and compete, but there wasn't any hole. I thought, hey, we really need to go get a guy right now at that position. We had done a little bit of that with Lockhart from last year, with Fru Morgan from last year, and with Jalen Hurd. So I hope that these guys come in, and if they're good enough to play, great. But there's no pressure to make them play, and that way they can kind of play at their own time, and when they're really ready to go, so they can play with confidence. And one thing we told them all, they're going to all come in here with a chance to play. They're all going to compete to play, and the best guys will play.
Now that you've been through it, what do you think of the early signing period? Do you think that it worked? Do you think that it fulfilled its intention?
I do. I think it's, I've long been a proponent of it. I know there's debates about when it is. I know as with anything you do, there's always going to be a downside. As with any change, there's always going to be something that people don't like. But I think it removed some of the, extra frivolous stuff around recruiting, and it came down to, hey, where do I want to go to college? And if I don't know where I want to go to college right now, then I have a whole other month to wait. and allowed us to make decisions, it becomes a lot. And this is an opportunity for them to say, you know what, I'm done. And if they're not done, so be it, continue the process. But if they are done, they have a chance just to shut it off and go be a kid again, go enjoy Christmas, go enjoy my spring. And I think you saw from our class that a lot of guys said, you know what, I know where I want to go. Let me just shut it down and go be a student.
Raylan Taylor, I was looking at him, y'all listed him as an athlete,
Mhm.
6'7", 225.
Yeah.
Is he destined to be an offensive tackle, or is he going to be a tight end?
No, I think Braylon is a guy who could play receiver, could play tight end, could play like H-back. He's really someone who's kind of a unique weapon you could kind of put anywhere. That's why we listed him as an athlete. We're really, really, really happy with Ben Sims. I mean, he was one of the first people that we offered. Saw him. Matter of fact, he was walking into junior day, and I saw Ben and said, "Hey, we're going to offer you a scholarship." I mean, he is kind of that prototypical move tight end. Christoph more of a prototypical tight end, and then, Braylon, we're not really sure where he'll end up because he is just so big and so athletic. And we went and watched him work out one day, and he was doing DB drills, and he looked like a DB. And so wherever that puts him, I really don't know. But I do, yeah. He's 6'7". I don't know that he could be a DB, but he kind of moved in that manner. So I just think when they're that big and they're that athletic, we take them, and then we see where Braylon's future kind of moves to. And so that's why we list him as an athlete.
Other than Princeton, who seems to be huge, he is huge, but you've got a lot of these guys that are very slender, but tall.
Mhm.
I mean, do you deliberately pick them out that way?
Yeah, so, I think the one thing, just my limited experience in the NFL, and then, you take Bick, who's our receiver coach, but was the NFL offensive line coach, and with George. Most elite NFL offensive linemen are great athletes. And a lot of them played another position before becoming an offensive lineman. And so if you want to kind of win the recruiting battle, if you want to go out in recruiting and sign like the top 5-star kid, usually he's already about 330 pounds. And some of them are unbelievable athletes, but a lot of them just aren't great athletes, or they already are the size you want them to be. And to me, guys like Casey Phillips and Connor Galvin, all those guys, they are tremendous athletes with huge frames that are going to be 320. They're just not there yet. They're not fat. So now we can get them in our program and get them big and get them strong the right way. And they'll go from 275 to 290. Half these guys will be 295 by the fall, and then they'll be 305. And so to me, it's just more of a developmental transition of finding great athletes. Then you look up one day, and so instead of a bunch of big, slow guys, you have a bunch of big, athletic guys. And that to me is how you have a chance to develop pros on the offensive line.
Is there anything you feel like you haven't addressed to the fullest extent that you would like to?
I just think what you talked about, I think when you look at our roster, just the depth at quarterback and the depth at running back aren't exactly where maybe you would want them to be. Obviously, quarterback more so than anything else. But I think it's good enough at a point where we're kind of whole at all the different places where it allows us now to go out and say who are the best, available players, as opposed to who are, hey, where do we have to go fill a need? And that's all I really want is I want the last couple spots to come down to, hey, that guy can make a difference. That guy can make a difference. And so I feel pretty good about being at that place right now.
Do you look at the kids who didn't sign today or tomorrow and Friday, but are still committed? Do you look at them as really committed?
Take tomorrow out of it, but I think if you go through this 3-day window and you're committed but you didn't sign, it means you're kind of committed. You know what I'm saying? Like if the kid was committed but I didn't send him the paperwork this week, he wouldn't be able to say I was committed. And so that doesn't mean, committed. The word committed means, hey, this is where I want to go, and I'm fine with that. I want everyone to do the right thing at the right time. No, that's really my way, but I do think there's a reality to this. I think sometimes players go through recruiting, or they go through college, and they think those things are there forever. It's like when you put a bid on a house, right? Like you put the bid on, and then someone else, you either you get it or you don't. So it's there's only so many spots, and really as a coaching staff, we came down through Saturday and Sunday. We were scared we would go all the way to 2024, which is kind of our number. And there's a couple kids we even said, hey, maybe you should go to other place. Maybe that would be good for you, because I think we really need to get into the next recruiting cycle with 1 or 2 spots left over. So no, I don't know if necessarily hardball, but there is a reality of, hey, if you don't take the spot, he's going to take it, and that's if you've given people months and months and months of time. It's one thing when you offer someone on Wednesday and say I need to know by Friday. We've offered some of these people in the spring, so come down to the day, and then we get through today, and tomorrow, Friday, we'll see where we are and kind of enter January as uncharted territory with, again, we could have 1 or 2 spots, we could have 4 spots. We'll have to wait and see.
You haven't heard from the guy yet?
Well, I haven't heard from our people here, so that's why I keep looking at my phone. So.
You like to be a teenager checking your phone.
I would, if I was looking at myself right now, I'd be like, put your phone down.
Matt, how many of the guys do you feel like probably will or can run track too?
I think, yeah, some of the guys that aren't here are track guys, but I think,
It's noted in the bio.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, some of them are, they're debating whether they want to do that or not, but it's certainly opened, I mean, I really believe that, football has to be your priority, but, I mean, what better thing is it than what OBIM's doing right now out there playing basketball? I mean, like, while everyone else is at home, kind of hanging out, and we're telling him, hey, make sure you go work out every day. He's out there running sprints with the basketball team and diving for balls. And so I think in today's society, the more you can go out and compete and do things, the better it is. And so, I'm sorry?
You can talk about the one.
Oh, I can? All right, and then we just got a commitment in from, the paperwork in from Kalen Barnes. So his took a little bit longer today, but we're excited about Kalen, and he is someone that we're hopeful that can run track. I think he was 10.22 last year and won the national. They had a national race. They brought everyone in. So but Kalen obviously brings additional speed to an already fast class.
He's from Silsbee.
He's from Silsbee.
That's where my mother's from.
There you go.
I know, so my grandparents' house, they used to own the football stadium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Silsbee Top.
What position does he play?
He's a receiver and a guy that we think, probably can help us both ways. I mean, he's a truly a fast athlete.
See a Chris Platt type.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that, he literally has that type of speed and athleticism. And, I went and had a chance to go watch him play this year. And he's really a special athlete, special football player. And one of the first guys that committed to us and really kind of helped Coop's whole be fast thing kind of get up and running. So so it's good to get his in.
How much better should spring ball be from a depth perspective, given the large class you signed last year, the midterm guys, and then what you had compared to last season when you walked in and cover wasn't completely bare, but it was short in some areas.
Yeah, I think it'll be way better in terms of depth. I think it'll be way better in terms of bodies, obviously. But I also think it'll be way better in terms of guys knowing what to expect. It's like. I told all the players, like, I'm embarrassed, of like some of the things I did early on, kind of, and then all of a sudden I had to change them, like trying to figure out just little things like the schedule of this, trying to figure out how to make Baylor work, how to make this experience be the best it can be. And, but now I know. And so for our players, a lot of them, like, they went through the winter and the spring sort of, what's going to happen next. Well, now they know, now they know what's ahead of them. So they can really, I think, attack the off season, attack the spring. And now you're only talking about 6 new guys, whereas last year you had really, even the guys that were there, you had 90 new guys to sort of the way we do things. So, but I think having the offensive linemen, having all those young offensive linemen, I think though, we have some guys that had some surgeries and stuff that'll miss it, obviously, but we'll have a lot of depth out there, a lot of people out there, a lot of competition out there, a lot of really good non-scholarship players on this football team, guys that aren't on scholarship but can play, and so. Those guys you have to factor in. A lot of those guys that helped us during the year.
Anything else?